in Asia as the World Cup qualifying campaigns rears their ugly head. Of course, only 2 nations so far secure their berth to Qatar 2022, but who will join them? We'll take a little look next. Prediction video today. We're looking forward to match number 9 over in the AFC World Cup qualifying campaigns over in Asia, and we'll get to that in just one second. If you know where you've been, smash your subscribe link, keep you banging today. All things AFC related, Platform related, World Cup related. We got it all here, boys. And one risky. According to my knowledge, Iran and South Korea have booked their spots in Qatar 2022, with Japan, Saudi Arabia, and Australia all duking out over in Group B. Of course, I think it's top 2 from both groups, and of course the 2 third place teams, of course, will lock horns in a final. Of course, we'll clarify that in a minute. Of course, big shout out to my VIPs, to the patrons, guys. Thank you very much, and of course, I appreciate the love on the Patreon. But of course, if you want to help us out, check out the link down below. So while we, of course, gear up, let me actually just clarify that and just see how on earth this World Cup qualifying campaign works out. So schedule advance to 4th round. I am right. I am bloody right. That's right. And it's not that easy. It's not as clear as day as that. So of course, top 2 from each group, and I think Group A is done. So the race for 3rd spot on that group is still, I think, up for grabs. As for Group B, that's wide open. Of course, three teams realistically compete for 2 spots. And again, those 2 third place teams will then lock horns for the playoff. And again, the winner of that will go to an intercontinental championship, where of course they'll take on the likely winners of the CONCACAF playoff spot or whatever, the CONMBL, the Oceania. So I think there'll be 4 nations there that'll go in again. So complicated, bloody complicated. But anyway, let's take a look at, of course, how we all got on last time around. Then here we go. These are the games, and of course we predicted. Of course, Lebanon picked up a cheeky. What did they do? 1-1 draw against Iraq. That's right. Iran, though, are one of the winners over UAE, and getting a very strong, campaign for Iran at the moment, again through over the dotted line. Of course, meanwhile, Vietnam surprised China with a 3-1 win. Japan did beat Saudi Arabia 2-0 over in Japan. And of course, Oman against Australia was a 2-2 draw, which of course opened up a can of worms for the Socceroos. And then finally, South Korea with a 2-0 win over Syria as well. So South Korea there, Iran are there, of course, and the race for 3rd with 2 games remaining. So, Iraq still have an outside shot, realistically an outside shot. Lebanon and UAE competing for that 3rd spot, of course. Oh, and in fact, let me show you the table here, what I'm talking about, guys, because you're probably thinking, what's he talking about? What I'm talking about, I'll show you. Hang on a minute. This is, of course, the prediction league. I'm all over the place, guys. I'm all over the place. Of course, Winky and Kevin kicking ass and taking names. Well done to you guys, picking up 4 bins there. Well done. Meanwhile, of course, the mini leaderboard, or the actual leaderboard for this, 34 points on the board for Shepard. So well done to you for doing very well at the moment. Of course, let's take a look at, of course, what I'm talking about. I should have the tables. There they are. So, like I said, of course, Iran kicking ass and taking names with 22 points. They're there. They're in Qatar 2022. They can take it easy. So can South Korea. They cannot be caught at the moment. So they're done and dusted. But of course, seedings and all that kind of stuff will play into the hands. UAE and Lebanon are realistically the 2 that we're going to be duking out for that 3rd spot. And again, that could be a passage through to the World Cup. It's going to be a long-winded one. Meanwhile, over in Group B, it's wide open. When we look at 6 points on the offering, so yeah, it is 2 of 3 here down the foot there, with Saudi Arabia looking good. Japan and Australia, of course, very close as well. You'd fancy, probably as it is, really, Saudi Arabia and Japan, and then I think realistically, on paper, Australia would be the 5th strongest nation out in Asia. So it's going to be tight. But yeah, anything can happen. In fact, anything can happen indeed. I want a quick look at the matches myself. Australia have got it hard. I've got a bloody ass tough one to do, though. They've got to take on Australia. They've got to take on Japan and Saudi Arabia in their final 2 games, which, of course, if Oman win their next 2, what does that put them on? That puts them on 11-40. They can't be caught, really. They cannot be caught. So what 3rd is worse for the Socceroos, but I guess they still got a lot of talent in their lockers to at least compete for a spot. It's going to be tough for them to get to Qatar 2022, if I'm honest with you, with the likes of the CONCACAF and CONMBL standing in their way. But anyway, regardless, let's kick it off forward. Take a look at the next games, of course. Let's jump at the deep end. Where are we? We're jumping in, of course, with South Korea kicking it all off up against Iran, of course. These matches are scheduled to take place on the 24th of March, of course. Played each other 16 times, 2006. 3 wins Korea, 7 wins for Iran, and 6 draws, of course. South Korea coming to this 100% form for them, winning at least 6 on the outs. Meanwhile, Iran coming to this 92% form for them, winning 5 of the last 6. Very hot form, both of these two nations. Of course, South Korea's biggest win over Iran was a 4-2 win. The biggest win there was a 2-0 win. And in fact, Iran has scored 18 goals compared to South Korea's 14 over the course of those 16 matches. Works on around about 0.88 goals a game ratio for South Korea, 1.13 goal game ratio for Iran. Last time pressure over in South Korea was a 1-1 draw. That's back in June 2019. Of course, the reverse fixture over in Iran was a 1-1 draw way back in, of course, October. Of course, Iran's last match was a 1-0 win over UAE, and they're coming to this on the back of 3 clean sheets on the spin. Meanwhile, South Korea picked up a 2-0 win over Syria. They're also coming into this on the back of 3 clean sheets on the spin as well. Quite tight between these two sides. Of course, they don't have any odds either, which makes things a little bit more awkward for you and for me, but I'm going to go with a win for South Korea here. 2-1 win for them, and again, that put them in the driving seat for maybe winning the group as well. Kicking off forward, though, it'll be Lebanon. They're, of course, locking horns up against Syria. Of course, they're over in the Group A. Now, these two sides, of course, play each other, according to my eyes, 4 times 2009, 2 wins apiece. Of course, Lebanon, of course, coming to just 1 win and 6 for them, 25% form. I guess the Syria side, just 1 win and 6 for them, 17% form for them at the moment. Of course, the biggest win for Syria over Lebanon was a 4-0 win. The biggest win the other way was a 3-2 win. Lebanon have scored 5 goals compared to Syria's 9 over the course of those 4 matches, which was on about 2.25 goals game ratio for Syria, a 1.25 goals game ratio for Lebanon. Kicking on forward, though, Syria with a 3-2 loss last time around in Syria, of course, and the reverse fit, the last time played in Lebanon was 2-1 win for Lebanon way back in, of course, August 2019. Meanwhile, Lebanon's last match was a 1-1 draw against Iraq, and Syria, of course, lost to South Korea 2-0 at home. Of course, no odds again on this one. My odds are in my jeans, and my jeans says a 1-0 win for Lebanon on this one to kick on forward towards the back end of the World Cup qualifying campaign. Iraq up against UAE coming at you again on the 24th of March. Now, these two sides have played each other 12 times, 2008. 4 wins to Iraq, 5 wins to UAE, and 3 draws, of course. Iraq, though, winning. Haven't won in the last 6. In fact, haven't won in the last 12. Of course, 25% form for them right now. UAE won 3, lost 3 over the last 6. 50% form for them right now. Their biggest win over Iraq was a 4-2 win. The biggest win there was a 2-0 win. In fact, Iraq have scored just 12 goals compared to UAE's 15 over the course of those 12 matches. Works out around about 1.25 goal game ratio for UAE, just the 1 goal game ratio for Iraq. Kicking on forward then, of course, Iraq's last match at home against UAE was back in, I'm going to go with a 1-0 win for Iraq. That's back in September 2017. The reverse fixture, of course, was a 2-2 draw back in October over in the United Arab Emirates. Of course, the United Arab Emirates picked up a loss against Iran, and of course, Iraq picked up a 1-1 draw against Lebanon on this one. Again, no odds. My odds says it's going to be a 2-1 win for the visitors here, and of course, Iraq will remain winless in 13 there. And then we'll go over to probably the biggest game of the round. It'll be Japan taking on Australia over in Australia. Of course, now these two sides have played each other 12 times, done 6. 2 was Australia, 6 for Japan, and 4 draws. Of course, just 1 defeat at the past 6 for Australia right now. 58% form up against the Japan side, won 5 of the bouts. Of course, 83% form for them at the moment. Last time they played each other, we'll get to that in a minute. Of course, Australia's biggest win over Japan was a 3-1 win. The biggest win was a 2-0 win. Japan scored 20 goals compared to Australia's 16 over the course of those 12 matches against each other, which works out around about 1.67 goals game ratio for the Japanese, and of course a 1.33 goals game ratio for the Socceroos. That's right. Last time they played each other in Australia was a 1-1 draw back in October 2016. The reverse fixture over in Japan was a 2-1 win back in October 2021. Australia coming to this on the back of that 2-2 draw against Oman. Bit of an upset that was, perhaps. And of course, Japan with a 2-0 win over Saudi Arabia. And 1, 2, 3, 4 clean sheets on the bounce, of course, for the Japanese. Again, got no odds. So this one, odds are going to go with I'm going to go with Aussies here. 2-1 win. Bit of a surprise. And of course, maybe open up a can of worms for the final games of Group B. Into the next ones we go. It is Vietnam up against Oman. Of course, locking horns over in Vietnam on the 24th of March. Now, these two sides played just one time, and that was, of course, the reverse fixture, and we'll get to that in a minute. Of course, Vietnam, though, what are we looking at? 1 win and 4 for them, 50% form. Up against the Oman side, just 1 win and 6, 33% form for them. Of course, that one and only win was a 3-1 win for Oman. That was a reverse fixture. We'll look at that in a minute. Of course, yes, that was back in October 2021, a 3-1 win in Oman. Oman's last match was a 2-2 draw against Australia, with, of course, Vietnam picking up a 3-1 win over China last round. Again, no odds for this one. Quite tight. Going to go with a Vietnamese win here. 1-0 win for them. Back-to-back wins for them. Too little, too late, probably, you would imagine. And then finally, wrapping up, but we've got China. They're locking horns up against Saudi Arabia. We're already there. They're already in Qatar 2022. They played each other 5 times in 2009. 1 for China, 3 for Saudi Arabia, and 1 draw. China, of course, won and only win in the last, picked up 1 win in 6. Of course, 32% form. They're up against the Saudi Arabia side. Just 1 win in 5 for them. 42% form for them at the moment. They're, of course, already there, taking it easy, of course. The biggest win for Saudi Arabia over China was a 4-1 win. The biggest win the other way was a 1-0 win. China have just scored 5 goals compared to Saudi Arabia's 9 over the course of those 5 games. Works out around about 1.8 goals game ratio for Saudi Arabia, a 1 goal game ratio for China. China, of course, last time played Saudi Arabia in China was a 0-0 draw, I believe. If not, it was a 4-1 win to Saudi Arabia way back in, of course, June 2009. The reverse fixture, though, in Saudi Arabia was a 3-2 win. That was back in October. And, of course, China with a 3-1 loss to Vietnam last time around. Of course, Saudi Arabia with a 2-0 loss to Japan last time around. Of course, the odds on this one got no odds. Going to go with my gut. My gut says a win for Saudi Arabia. 2-0 win for them on the road to take it to the house. That is it. Get your picks in. Cut the forecast WC 2022. And, of course, I'll be there waiting for you for the final games next time around. That is it, guys. Smash the thumbs up. Smash your subscribe. Check the links down below. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Twitch, I'm on Facebook, and I'm also on Patreon. But till then, boys, we're done right now.